Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
Good morning. Thank you so much for watching Fox 4 Morning News at 6. I'm Lisa Greenberg.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Shaw. As we head into the weekend, we're only a few hours away. We need to know about the weather. I guess the big question is, how hot is it going to be? Let's bring in Fox 4 certified meteorologist Trent Eric for a look at that. Trent, what are you seeing?
That time of year where it's hot and humid every afternoon as we get back in the low 90s. Kind of an interesting shot here from the top of our studios in the Cape. We are looking at some towering thunderstorms out over the Atlantic. That's how far off we can see those thunderstorms here. And it's quite a beautiful shot here early in the morning. Now, to show you exactly what we're seeing there, let's flip over to the radar, and it is these showers and thunderstorms right there. It's those four that we were picking up there on our tower cam, and you can see that line of thunderstorms stretching north there of Grand Bahama. Our coastline is dry, but you can see that cluster of thunderstorms moving away. Pretty active here out over the open water, but for us, it'll be later on this afternoon that we pick up a chance of some wet weather. Right now, our temperature 76 out of Page Field, 74 RSW. Naples is checking in at 76. Everyone is warm. Punta Gorda is our cool spot by far, sitting at 69. Marco Island at 73. And as we go throughout the day, the westerly wind will kick in once again, and that's going to kick showers and thunderstorms inland. You see them developing there around 5 o'clock, but today we could see a little kickback along our coast late afternoon and early evening. So we are going to be hot. We're going to be right back in the low 90s here this afternoon, just a little bit above our average of 90. I want to get you out on the roads here this morning as well. We'll take a live look here at I-75 southbound. This is near mile marker 151. And believe it or not, early this morning at 6 o'clock, we do have one accident we're watching. For this, we go down towards Immokalee Road, where we have an accident that right now has no major delays. We're still in the green, traffic getting by. This is right near Satarina Lakes Boulevard, but this is something we'll watch here throughout the morning. Otherwise, some of our typical hot spots, a little delay here already on Lee Boulevard, and those Lehigh Acre drive times right now, 9 minutes to get from Lee Boulevard to Gunnery, the I-75, and 8 minutes from Daniels over to I-75, still in the green. And of course, this area gets a little congested coming up here in about an hour to hour and a half. We'll stay on top of traffic and weather and be back to look at that weekend forecast as well.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count one of the charge. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder of Robin Cornell.
All right, there's the verdict. Now the question is, will Joseph Zyler be put to death for killing 11-year-old Robin Cornell and her babysitter, Lisa Story? He'll be sentenced next week. Fox 4's Caitlin Knapp was in the courtroom when the jury came back with that verdict.
Yes, it took 3 hours, almost 3 hours on the dot to find Zyler guilty of killing 11-year-old Robin Cornell and 32-year-old Lisa Story. Robin Cornell's family, including her mother, were in the courtroom all day, even as Zyler took the stand. Now, right when the verdict was read, there were tears running down their faces. They were embracing each other. And at one point, they were hugging prosecutors and saying thank you, all while Zyler was in the distance getting his fingerprints done before going back to jail. Now, as that verdict was read, Zyler's face remained blank, but by the end of reading, Zyler had a smirk on his face at one point. He smiled at one of his attorneys, too. Zyler had a different change of pace in court today, though. He testified in his defense, and at one point he made a derogatory gesture at what appeared to be our news cameras. Then he had an outburst, forcing the jury out of the courtroom.
That's a piece of paper right here that they're trying to hide from you.
Mr.
Right
Zyler.
I still see the body of 11-year-old Robin Cornell with the hand, with the hair of her
Ladies and
killer.
gentlemen, the jury will step out.
The blonde
Mr.
hair of her killer.
Zyler, please.
Yes.
Is that in any way unclear?
Can I use the microphone?
Is that in any way unclear, Mr. Zyler?
All of this culminated with closing arguments. Prosecutors really honed in on the DNA, saying DNA found at the Zine was a match to Zyler in 2016 when he was arrested. The defense argues Zyler had no motive to kill Robin Cornell and Lisa Story, so he couldn't have done it. But as you heard, the jury thought otherwise, convicting Zyler of killing both Cornell and Story 33 years ago. Now, we tried to talk to the family as they left the courtroom. They didn't want to go on camera. Obviously, still a really emotional time. And Jan Cornell, the mother of Robin, at one point she did say this is not over yet. And she's right. We still have a penalty phase to go through. And this is when prosecutors will try to argue an aggravating factor to convince the jury that they should put death penalty on the table as an option when he is sentenced. Now, if that isn't on the table, there is another option, and Zyler could face 25 years in prison at least, with the possibility of parole after those 25 years. That will all begin next Tuesday morning. We'll bring you the latest as soon as that comes, again next Tuesday. Reporting live inside the Lee County Courthouse, Caitlin Knapp, Fox 4.
And as Caitlin said, Fox 4 will be in the court for the sentencing next week. You can see all of our coverage, not just on the trial, but also all the stories we've done through the years on this case when you go to fox4now.com.
This morning, we have new details about a homicide investigation in Golden Gate Estates. The Collier County Sheriff's Office now says deputies caught the 34-year-old suspect after he tried to hire a housekeeper to clean up the crime scene. Deputies say Anthony Corrado, killed an older woman Wednesday afternoon at a home on 16th Street. They say he was released from prison last year, and that woman had an order of protection against him. They also say Corrado severely beat an older man at the home, and he had to be flown to a hospital. Investigators say a housekeeper Corrado hired to clean up the scene found the body and reported it to the sheriff's office. Deputies say they found a hammer with blood on it in the kitchen and say Corrado was standing outside with blood on his clothing. He's now charged with second-degree murder and aggravated battery. This morning, we are following through for you on where the rebuilding process stands at the Cape Coral Yacht Club. It is completely shut down right now. I actually went there yesterday. The entire area, as you see here, is barricaded off. Now, initially, the Boathouse restaurant there was expected to open at the end of the month, but the director of capital improvements for the city says that may not happen now until June. The boat ramp will also be shut down until at least September. They say the company responsible for removing the abandoned boats from Lee County has taken 89 from Cape Coral so far, and they anticipate needing until August 31st to finish that work. It'll also be a while before the beach at the yacht club can reopen.
As far as sand refurbishment, we're waiting for FEMA approval. They still have to send out a beach inspector. There's actually a specialist that comes out related to beaches and to see if we're eligible for reimbursement. The marina is still closed and the other amenities.
Now, the buildings at the yacht club will all be demolished, but they won't be able to start that process until September or October. They're waiting on FEMA reimbursement.
Rainy season is on the way, and this morning some people are concerned Lake Okeechobee is already too full. Now, here's why that matters. Over the next several months, the lake will continue to rise, and the Army Corps of Engineers will release water into the Caloosahatchee to keep the lake from flooding. Now, eventually, that water will make its way to Southwest Florida, and as we've seen in the past, that increases the likelihood for water quality problems here.
Those releases will give nutrients to algae blooms that are in the river, in the fresh portion of the river, or even feeding red tide blooms that are out into the saltwater part of the estuary.
The Army Corps says it's kept up with its normal release schedule for dry season. Right now, it expects the water level to be about 13 feet by June 1st. This year's Cape Coral Hurricane Preparedness Expo is coming up. City Council members, local businesses, and the police and fire departments will be there, and they'll have giveaways to help families build a hurricane kit. It'll be at Marcola Market on May 31st.
And tomorrow, Charlotte County will hold a Hurricane Expo. It says it wants people living there to be prepared for hurricanes and know what to do during and after a storm. The expo is going to be at the Charlotte Harbor Event and Conference Center from 10 o'clock in the morning until 4. Sanibel and Captiva's Resiliency Group is also meeting ahead of the next hurricane season. The SanCap Citizens for a Resilient Future will meet on Monday at Big Arts Sanibel on Dunlop Road. Officials from the Lee County Emergency Operations Center will be there to talk about key lessons learned from Hurricane Ian and plans to keep people safe this hurricane season.
In just a few minutes now, the annual Ding Darling and Doc Ford's Tarpon Tournament will get started in Sanibel. It'll go from 6:45 until 4 this afternoon, and then the Silver King Awards Banquet will begin at 7 this evening. We have a lot more information on our website, fox4now.com. 6:09 is the time right now. Construction along Corkscrew Road could add some time to your commute coming up. So starting tomorrow morning, crews will begin working on the Corkscrew Road widening project.
Fox 4's John Barron is live there this morning. And John, when this project is all done, it should help with traffic flow in this area.
Yeah, it should, but at this point in time, especially as you start to wake up and figure out exactly where you're going and how that commute's going to look, this is the site you're going to be seeing if you're taking Corkscrew Road. Right now you can see that they have turned that lane into now a 2-lane road going one each way, north and southbound lanes, now having just 1 lane of traffic. Not too bad at this moment in time, but you can see right here that if we go to the left, you can see that all of that roadway that used to be here is now no longer. It used to be a 3-lane road, and now going to turn it into a 6-lane road, something that we should be able to see actually help people out as they continue on with their morning commute. But for right now, it is going to be a problem as people start to wake up and figure out where they're going to go and how this project is going to look down the road. Now, this project will widen Corkscrew Road to 6 lanes, like I said, from Ben Hill Griffin Parkway to the Firehouse Lane. Now, it also says that it will expand Firehouse Lane to Bellaterra Boulevard to 4 lanes. But besides the extra lanes of traffic, it's a project that will also include sidewalks, new drainage, and a wildlife crossing. Now, crews are reminding drivers to pay attention to the road signs and speed limits while drivers and crews are still working right here on the site. Now, of course, as you guys start to wake up, remember, you guys can always stick with us here on Fox 4 Morning News and find all these details on our website at fox4now.com. For now, live here on Corkscrew Road, John Barron, Fox 4.
Is someone you love going through some mental health struggles and you feel lost on how to help? I'll show you the training you can get right here in Southwest Florida, coming up in today's Your Healthy Family.
And right now we're looking at the radar, very active off the East Coast as our rainy season really getting into gear. Coming up, we got some changes and they start over the weekend. We'll talk about those rain chances in a bit.
Trent, changes are also coming to Starbucks iced drinks. It's the ice, and we'll tell you why the company thinks changing the ice is a big deal.
I totaled my truck. It was a really gnarly accident. I called Fair and Fair first, and then from there it went very fast. My legal team, they were like bulldogs. They just didn't take no for an answer. It just made me feel like I was really dealing with professionals.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and in today's Your Healthy Family, I'm showing you how the David Lawrence Centers for Behavioral Health in Naples is helping all of us recognize the signs of mental health struggles and where to get help.
You can come here to the David Lawrence Centers for Behavioral Health in Naples tomorrow to get equipped with the tools to recognize and help someone who's struggling with their mental health. It's called the Compassionate Collier QPR Suicide Prevention Training. QPR stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. They say it's the 3 simple steps anyone can learn to help save a life.
It is a mental health overview combined with a suicide prevention certification. So it's a nationally recognized program.
Jessica Liria, the community outreach specialist for the David Lawrence Centers, says it's an evidence-based prevention certification to help people recognize the warning signs of suicide and how to question, persuade, and refer someone to help.
We all have a family member, a friend, someone that's dealing with mental health, but we don't always have the education or really just the awareness on how to go about recognizing or having the conversation with somebody about what we're noticing and encouraging the resources.
That's where this training comes in, to help with that.
For anyone in the community to gain confidence, gain understanding, and really just build a more compassionate community so that we can just extend that helping hand and know how to offer that help.
Now, the training also includes a tour of the David Lawrence Centers. It starts tomorrow morning at 10. For more information, head to fox4now.com/yourhealthyfamily. For Your Healthy Family, I'm Lisa Greenberg.
Well, Starbucks is about to make a change to its cold drinks. Instead of using ice cubes, the chain will now use smaller so-called nugget ice. The company says the new ice is made with machines that use less water, and that's the key here. The company has a goal of cutting its water usage in half by 2030. Starbucks says the nuggets don't melt any faster, and customers shouldn't notice any change to the taste of their drinks. It says ice drinks make up about 75% of its sales. Now, here I am thinking, what's the big deal? You're just going from ice cubes to nuggets, and Lisa is thrilled.
I am thrilled.
I've never seen you so happy.
Nugget ice is the superior ice.
Okay.
It is.
It's a hot take.
It's like you can finish the rest of your drink and then you can have the ice because it's more like snow coney ice.
She's put a lot of thought into this.
You know, so like you can have the rest of your strawberry acai refresher and you don't have to leave that like little bit at the bottom that you always struggle to get because you can eat the ice with it.
I don't know what refresher thing you're talking about, but it's the reason I stop at racetrack because they have
the nugget
smaller
ice.
Nugget ice, yeah.
That's so good. See, he gets it.
Okay. I'm on an island here.
One with the big chunky ice. Yeah. Let's get you guys a check of what's going on outside right now. We have changed our view. We're now looking over the Caloosahatchee towards North Fort Myers. You can see traffic picking up there over the bridge, but we are clear. As we look off to the east, though, we do have some showers and thunderstorms that we're seeing way out over the Atlantic waters. And like the last couple of days, we are going to continue to see our temperatures climb. Yesterday, we climbed up into the low 90s once again. Matter of fact, we hit 90. As you look off to the east, you're seeing the thunderstorms out of the Atlantic, and that cluster of storms will continue to pull away from the coastline. And you can see how close the thunderstorms are to here, to West End and Grand Bahama, and out over the warmer Gulf Stream waters. Pretty active here just off the east coast. As we slide back over to the southwest Florida coastline, we are dry. Not a single drop of rain here to impact your morning commute, and it won't be until later on this afternoon that we even see a chance of a shower or a thunderstorm. And today's rain chance around 30%, mostly inland like the last couple of days. You see the 24-hour rainfall totals anywhere from LaBelle to Belglade, and then really heavier amounts here along 441 between West Palm and Fort Lauderdale. We need the rainfall, and in the next couple of days, we're going to start to crank up our rain chances, and we should start to put a dent in our deficits. We are over 4.5 inches behind for Fort Myers for the year, and starting to get really close to 1.5 inches behind in the month of May alone. As we look at our temperatures this morning, look how warm it is. We've got upper 70s for the Cape, 76 in Naples, some upper 60s for Port Charlotte to Arcadia, by far the most comfortable readings, and we've got upper 60s there around the lake. Compared to yesterday, we're even a little bit warmer. Every night, we have seen the heat and humidity stay with us as we've had this onshore westerly flow, and that wind will continue today. It'll stay light through about 1 o'clock, and then it'll pick up 10 to 15 later on this afternoon. Our high temperature today, right around 92. Your sunset time comes there at 8:10, where we'll see some showers and thunderstorms around. That reading is just a touch above our average of 90, but shy of a record of 96. Old frontal boundary and low off to our north. And over the last day or two, the flow has been strong enough out of the west to push the showers and thunderstorms inland. Today, we will see much the same, and we'll get a little kickback in the afternoon, bringing a couple of showers close to I-75. But tomorrow, we start to see some more significant changes as we get some thunderstorms a little closer to the coast. So we're going to bump the rain chance up a little bit here to start the weekend. Let's detail today a little bit closer. By about 4 or 5 o'clock, we start to see some showers, even a couple of thunderstorms inland towards Glades and Hendry County. And as we stop this around 7 to 8, thunderstorms north of the lake, a few showers not out of the question here around Lehigh Acres, Alva, Birmingham, and getting close there to the river. Now, as far as later on this evening, we stay mostly dry, and then tomorrow we start off dry, but as we go throughout the afternoon, about 2 o'clock, showers and thunderstorms a little closer to the interstate, and those will hang out a little closer to the southwest Florida coastline, and that's why we've got that higher chance of rain on Saturday. Early next week, our rain chance goes up even more, as we will see a 50 to 60% chance of rain starting Monday, as our rainy season pattern really going to begin to kick into gear.
Well, of course, we love our beaches here in Southwest Florida, and we know they bring a lot of tourists to our area all year long. But did a Southwest Florida beach make it to the top of the charts for the best beach in the country? Time right now is 6:24. There's a new list ranking the best beaches in our country, and at the top is a beach in our state. The state park of St. George Island off the Florida Panhandle is now officially named the nation's best beach. A Florida International University professor known as Dr. Beach ranked our beaches for the 33rd year. He says the island's natural beauty, the availability of activities, and the lack of development make it the best in the country. Beaches in Hawaii, New York, and South Carolina also made the top 10.
In less than 2 hours now, the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation will get a group of volunteers together to clean up Turner Beach on Sanibel. If you'd like to help out, you can park at the Turner Beach parking lot. They'll be out there today from 8 until 10.
All right, take a look at this incredible video. This is of a dolphin rescue that happened in Pasco County. Now, the sheriff's office says an off-duty deputy was going fishing on Wednesday when he saw this small dolphin in distress. He then called out Marine deputies, and within minutes, the Pasco County Marine Unit got there to rescue the dolphin. They ended up taking this dolphin to the Clearwater Aquarium, which then transported it to SeaWorld to be rehabilitated.
We're already now #1 in education overall.
That's according to a new U.S. News and World Report. But what does this ranking really mean? We'll explain coming up on Fox 4 Morning News.
Lisa, right now, showers and thunderstorms lining up off the East Coast. A pretty good cluster. And later on today, we have a chance to see some rain inland once again. And then changes coming over the weekend. We're going to get you out the door here coming up after the break.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
6:28 is the time right now. Thank you so much for watching Fox 4 Morning News. I'm Lisa Greenberg.
Morning, everybody. I'm Chris Shaw. We are waking up to clear skies here in Southwest Florida. A beautiful morning, Trent, but you can already kind of feel the humidity out there.
Yeah, you sure can. And with that humidity this time of year comes showers and thunderstorms. And if you're away from your television set right now, just glance over, because if you look off towards east this morning, it almost looks like a mountain range in the distance. These are showers and thunderstorms that are sitting out over the Atlantic, and you can start to see the sunshine coming up over the tops of those thunderstorms that are developing off towards our east. Kind of a really cool shot here this morning as we are watching that large cluster of showers and storms. Let's show you from the tower cam to what we're looking at on the radar, and it's this line of thunderstorms right there that we are seeing several hundred miles off towards the east. And that thunderstorm complex is pretty solid this morning north of West End and Grand Bahama, but most of the wet weather is staying off the east coast. For us, we are dry. That should help your morning commute, but boy, is it warm outside. Our temperatures right now, mid to upper 70s with 76 in Naples and in Pagefield. RSW just a little bit cooler. And as we look at Punta Gorda, 69, by far one of our coolest readings here today. And our wind is fairly calm. Later on, it'll be out of the west again. And the last couple of days, we've seen those showers and thunderstorms develop. A couple of showers not out of the question early around noon, but it's later on this afternoon where we'll see some showers and thunderstorms develop inland. So as we look hour by hour here, we're expecting our temperatures up around 92 degrees this afternoon, just a little bit above our average of 90. Let's get you out on the roads here. Let's look at I-75 in Alico here, and you can see those on and off ramps, the access road there. Everything moving smooth so far here on the interstate. And matter of fact, at 6:30, our traffic maps are fairly clear. We only have one accident to talk about. Actually, no, in the last 30 seconds or so, looks like we've got one accident popping up here near the interstate. So we will watch that for delays. The one that we have on the map is down here off of Immokalee Road, and that one is right there near Satarino Lakes Boulevard, and some residual delays are already starting to pop up. So we'll watch this here throughout the morning, and as we go up here towards Colonial Lee Boulevard, we're starting to see congestion build, and right now those Lehigh Acre drive times are 12 minutes from Lee Boulevard to Gunnery to I-75 there, and looking at 10 minutes. So you can see we're out of the green, now in the orange and yellow as the morning commute begins to pick up. I'll check in on that accident on the interstate, and of course we'll be back with a look at your forecast coming up in about 15 minutes.
Sounds good, Trent. We will see you soon. 6:31 is the time right now. President Joe Biden is in Japan for the Group of Seven summit. One of the key topics leaders will talk about is the Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is also going to be at the summit this weekend. Officials haven't said when exactly he's going to arrive. The Ukrainian president has increased his travel outside the country as the war with Russia drags on.
And while the president is overseas, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are trying to work out a deal to avoid defaulting on the country's debt. It could be catastrophic to our country's economy, but as Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard tells us, House Republicans are more optimistic this morning.
I see the path that we could come to an agreement. And I think we have a structure now, and everybody's working hard.
A newly optimistic Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, says nothing has been agreed to yet, but that there's a possible path to narrowly avoid a national default. In the way, the rank-and-file members on both sides of the aisle who are pressuring their top negotiators, President Biden and Speaker McCarthy, not to budge.
The president thinks that there's just going to be some acclamation like, oh, great, yeah, we'll do whatever just to get a deal. That's insane, right? We need something that's going to work.
Here's where the main sticking points are. Whether to add more work requirements to federal benefits. Progressives strongly oppose. How long the debt ceiling should be raised for. Democrats want at least 2 years, while Republicans say only until March. And what spending levels should be, and where the cuts should come from. Some far-right members are urging McCarthy to force Democrats to accept the previously passed House bill the president has said he'd veto.
McCarthy's got to quit playing to his right-wing extremists and start doing the right thing for this country.
Senators have left town for recess, but will come back if a bipartisan deal is reached. President Biden is also out of town. He is in Japan for the G7 summit. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Lauren, thank you. Disney has decided against bringing a new $1 billion campus to Florida that would have added 2,000 jobs. It said new leadership and changing business conditions were the reasons for pulling the plug on the Lake Nona project. Disney has been in a back-and-forth battle with Governor Ron DeSantis the last year or so. It started when the company came out against the parental rights and education law, and now the two sides have taken a fight over Disney's special district to court. The governor's press secretary gave this statement about the move, quote, given the company's financial straits, failing market cap, and declining stock price, it is unsurprising that they would restructure their business operations and cancel unsuccessful ventures. Several Orlando area Democrats say they are disappointed. State Senator Linda Stewart says the new jobs would have been a great economic boost. Orange County Mayor Jerry Dimming said it was an expected consequence of the Disney-DeSantis feud. Even former President Donald Trump slammed the governor. He said Disney is absolutely destroying DeSantis.
Well, Florida is #1 in higher education. At least that's according to U.S. News and World Report, which released its annual state rankings earlier this month.
And since then, we've seen universities and the state government tout that recognition. But Fox 4 Investigates' Katie LaGrone wanted to know what the ranking really means and what it says about the quality of education here.
When you're ranked #1 in education by U.S. News and World Report, which we were.
During a press conference to sign several controversial new education measures into law earlier this month.
We're already now #1 in education overall.
Florida's top politicians and education leaders all used the moment to praise the state's latest distinction.
Florida's #1 in education, according to U.S. News and World Report.
For the 7th year in a row, U.S. News and World Report dubbed the Sunshine State #1 for higher education.
Guys, how about that news? 7 years in a row.
The head of the state's university system recently interpreting the recognition to his board like this.
It is a testament to our trajectory and the work that we're doing and the impact that we're having. It's working.
But a closer look at the details behind these rankings had us wondering what it all really means. And if this #1 higher ed title is really an indication college students are getting the best of it here.
U.S. News ranked Florida #1 for higher education. Sounds amazing, is it?
No. You got a positive Yelp review. That's in essence what you just got.
Akil Bello is director at the National Center for Fair and Open Testing, a group that advocates against the misuse of standardized testing. He's also a vocal critic of U.S. News and World Report ranking systems, using Twitter to call the rankings, quote, terrible and wrong.
They're using metrics that no one would actually want to measure if you were looking at education.
According to its website, U.S. News' education rankings are measured using a limited number of metrics. Graduation rates, cost of tuition, debt at graduation, and the number of citizens in each state who hold a college degree.
Are you going to choose a college based on the number of people with associate's degrees or better that live in the community around it? What does that have to do with the college itself?
But what about grad rates? Isn't that a reflection of learning?
No, most of the people who end up not graduating are because they didn't have the funding to continue. So unless you disaggregate those who academically didn't graduate from those who financially couldn't graduate, you're not actually saying anything.
The U.S. News and World Report rankings are pretty narrowly focused.
But Andrew Spar, head of Florida's largest teachers union, isn't writing off the rankings, which deemed the state's pre-K through 12 education system number 14 nationally. While that measurement was also limited to metrics like grad rates, they did include some 8th grade test results and college readiness exams.
I wouldn't say I don't take it seriously. I take it for what it is.
In a press release, Florida's Department of Education described the rankings as measuring the overall quality of each state's education system. The Florida education model stands alone as a shining example for all other states to follow, Florida's education commissioner added. But if these rankings speak to the quality of education students get here,
basically somebody just called Florida pretty.
Critic Akil Bello advises you look somewhere else.
One of the problems with politicians endorsing these rankings is that they're misleading the public.
When you're ranked #1 in education,
they're suggesting that these rankings are providing real information about the quality of education when in truth they're not.
A spokesperson from U.S. News and World Report tells me they designed the framework for these rankings with a third party, and the metrics were selected in collaboration with experts. The company's education rankings have fueled controversy before. Its popular law school rankings underwent a series of revisions this year over concerns about its metrics. I'm Katie LaGrone reporting.
Time right now is 6:38 this morning. A bill a Florida high school student has been pushing for is on its way to the governor's desk. The bill will make menstrual hygiene products more accessible to students all across our state. Anya Patel first started the nonprofit The Global Girls Initiative after learning about period poverty in India through her volunteer work. Now, after doing some research on this issue here in our country, Anya started working with the Hillsborough County School District near Tampa to get period products inside school bathrooms. They created a dispenser to make them more accessible in Title I low-income schools for free. And now she's helped expand that access statewide by advocating for House Bill 389. This authorizes public schools all across our state to provide period products to their students at no charge.
It's a basic right that they should have, and being able to provide this is going to improve so many girls' education, their health, and their confidence.
Now, she says she plans to make this push for more menstrual hygiene products nationwide. And at 6:39, a German bank now has to pay $75 million to settle a lawsuit filed by victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Deutsche Bank agreed to settle a lawsuit filed by women who say they were abused by Epstein. The settlement resolves claims by Epstein's accusers in a proposed class action lawsuit in Manhattan federal court. Epstein was a Deutsche Bank client from 2013 to 2018. He died in jail in August of 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. The writers' strike may be bleeding California dry. Deadline says the strike by the Writers Guild of America is costing the state's economy $30 million a day in lost studio output. The Guild's negotiating committee is warning Hollywood studios a long strike could put them at risk of losing money that it says would far outweigh the costs of settling. The WGA also says that the proposals at contract expiration on May 1st would cost the industry $429 million a year collectively. Around 11,000 film and TV writers have been on strike since May 2nd as they fight for an increase in pay and residuals for streaming content.
Well, 5 TikTok creators have filed a lawsuit against the state of Montana because lawmakers there banned the app. Montana is the first state in the nation to do it. The TikTok content creators argue the law is unconstitutional. They say it violates free speech. The Montana Department of Justice says it is prepared to defend the law. That ban is not scheduled to take effect until January 1st.
Coming up, we have to talk about the radar because we have changes coming here over the weekend. And this morning, we're seeing a large cluster of thunderstorms off the East Coast. And it's just a matter of days here before we're going to start to see the radar light up here each and every afternoon.
A tough couple of years for the citrus industry has sent orange and orange juice prices sky high. But this morning, farmers say they have reason to be optimistic that those prices could eventually come down.
I totaled my truck. It was a really gnarly accident. I called Fair and Fair first, and then from there it went very fast. My legal team, they were like bulldogs. They just didn't take no for an answer. It just made me feel like I was really dealing with professionals.
Good morning. 6:45 is the time. Here are some of the top stories we're following. This morning, the Supreme Court dismissed a closely watched case about content moderation for major internet companies. The decision will preserve a federal law that shields social media sites from being sued for content posted by users. Justices also sided with Twitter in a separate case that held them liable for terrorist attacks. We have new updates on the state of Senator Dianne Feinstein's health. A spokesperson for the 89-year-old Democrat says she's still dealing with complications from shingles. She's also had 2 medical conditions, Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, which affects facial nerves, and encephalitis, which causes swelling in the brain and can lead to memory loss and changes in personality. The penalty phase against Joseph Zyler will start next Tuesday morning, and he could face the death penalty. He was found guilty yesterday for murdering 11-year-old Robin Cornell and her babysitter Lisa Story in Cape Coral in 1990. The jury deliberated for 3 hours before reaching this verdict. And tomorrow morning, crews will start working on the Corkscrew Road widening project. It will widen Corkscrew Road to 6 lanes from Ben Hill Griffin Parkway to Firehouse Lane. It'll also expand Firehouse Lane to Bellaterra Boulevard to 4 lanes. The project is adding sidewalks, new drainage, and wildlife crossing as well. Well, Florida citrus crops are down this season, and Hurricane Ian and Nicole could have played a role.
Reporter Todd Wilson from our Scripps station, WPTV in West Palm Beach, spoke with farmers about what they've lost and why they're optimistic about the future.
Every year has been worse, and this year was not going to be the best year already.
We're at the Termarsh Groves roadside stand on US 1 in Juno Beach. Manager Jimmy Hayes says everything from disease to hurricanes Ian and Nicole has affected their citrus sales.
The second hurricane came through in November, and it hit Fort Pierce, and that's our favorite region. That's where we get most of our citrus from.
According to the USDA, Florida growers are expected to harvest over 15 million boxes of oranges during this season, which is 450,000 less than the April forecast.
It made a hard year really hard.
At its peak, the USDA says during the 97-98 season, the citrus industry here in Florida produced 244 million boxes of oranges.
I usually buy navel oranges, but these looked really good.
So, as production declines, the costs are being passed on to consumers, just like Julie Vine.
It may have gone up a little bit, but when you need something and you like it, you're going to pay for it.
The industry trade group, Florida Citrus Mutual, says there are many reasons for Florida growers to be optimistic. New treatments for diseases are working, and the Florida legislature is helping with funding for replanting and hurricane relief. Jimmy says he's optimistic too.
I think production is going to go up with the remedies they've come up with. I keep hearing a lot more positive stuff.
According to Florida Citrus Mutual, recently, the Florida legislature actually approved over $60 million in support for the Florida citrus industry.
That was Todd Wilson reporting. Listen to this story. This morning, police say a man stole a fire truck and then led police on a chase through 3 South Florida counties. They say the chase went from Miami-Dade County to west of Boynton Beach. This is what it looked like at the end of the 3-hour ordeal. Police say the driver eventually surrendered and no one was injured.
This morning, a Minnesota woman is thanking some wastewater workers who reunited her with a ring she flushed down the toilet 13 years ago. Now, she says those workers not only found the ring, they fished it out of the muck and worked with city leaders to find its rightful owner.
All right, 6:49 is the time right now. It is Friday. A lot going on this weekend. Hopefully, we'll get some nice weather. What do you say, Trent?
Yeah, going to be showers and thunderstorms, that's for sure, especially as we come through the upcoming weekend. So, Lisa, I know you'd like to go to the beach. If you got plans this weekend, it's got to be early.
Okay.
So, we're in the rainy season.
So I can't sleep in tomorrow is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, you can. I always prefer a nap to the beach anyway.
There you go.
Let's get you guys to check what's going on. Check out this beautiful view. This is down in Naples looking eastbound. You can see the sunrise. Water's pretty still and a couple of thunderstorms there off into the distance. And we're going to start our morning beautiful here. Now, it is warm and it is humid as we are waiting for our showers and thunderstorms to develop later on this afternoon. The last couple of days, we've seen this westerly flow, and that's kept our temperatures in the low 90s. Matter of fact, fact, we hit 91 yesterday in Fort Myers. That was well shy of a record of 98 going back to 1989. Naples was the only location officially staying there in the upper 80s. This morning, the radar showing active conditions, especially north here of the Bahamas. You can see Grand Bahama Island thunderstorms north and also back off towards the west. Most of the rain is staying off of the I-95 corridor. And as you slide back over to southwest Florida, we are dry. Radar sweeping around, not showing much at all. And later on today, like the last couple of afternoons, we're going to see these showers develop east of I-75 and continue to progress towards the other coastline. Over the last couple of days, they've picked up a couple of inches of rain between US 27 and A1A, and we need some rainfall right here in southwest Florida. You look at our rainfall needs, we are over 4.5 inches behind in Fort Myers year to date. Even for the month of May, about 1.5 inches as the rainy season pattern is kicking in, but the overall pattern has put the showers and thunderstorms on the other coast. That changes here as we slide through the weekend and early next week. We've got quite a spread here with our temperatures this morning. The Lee Islands, such as Sanibel, sitting at 80, some upper 60s for Arcadia and Punta Gorda, Moorhaven at 70, and that's a little bit warmer, especially down in Collier and out towards State Road 29, where it's a 2 to 3 degree jump. Heat and humidity is going to be with us here over the next couple of days, and you can see that wind is pretty light. It'll pick up over 10 later on this afternoon, and that overall westerly flow will push showers and storms inland. For most of the afternoon, we are hot and dry with a high temperature 92. Your sunset time comes there at 8:10. As we look at the almanac, you can see the record for this date is 96, so our forecast of 92 is just a little bit above that average. We do have area low pressure sitting off to the north that's helping trigger showers and thunderstorms off the coast of the Carolinas there, and for us, we're waiting for the pattern to change. Let me snapshot the next couple of days and take you through the weekend. Today, inland showers and storms. By Saturday, the flow starts to kick back a little bit, and we'll see the showers and storms a little closer to I-75. So we'll take our rain chance up to 50% on Saturday, and Sunday back down to 40. But that's temporary because early next week, the focus of those showers and storms is going to be right here on our coast, so our rain chance is going to go up near 60%. Let's break down today. Let's take you through about 4 or 5 o'clock where we see some showers, even a couple of thunderstorms develop inland, and they're going to get a little bit of a kickback. We'll see some showers close to the interstate. After sunset, most of it dies down. We see mostly clear skies overnight, and we're going to start your weekend with plenty of sunshine. It's going to get hot, and then in the afternoon, notice the showers and thunderstorms start to develop a little closer to the coast, and that's why we've bumped the rain chance up to about 40 to 50% there over the weekend. And like clockwork, once that sun sets, we'll see the showers go away, and Sunday has a very similar forecast. We talked about the changes just a moment ago for early next week, and that's going to be some higher rain chances, a possibility of some strong storms here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Those afternoon highs will be right there near our average of 90.
Well, today is National Endangered Species Day. It's been 50 years since the Endangered Species Act became law, and the Senate enacted National Endangered Species Day in 2006. The Fish and Wildlife Service keeps a list of all the endangered species, which includes bald eagles, alligators, and manatees and panthers here in our state. It also includes insects and plants. In fact, listen to this, there are actually more endangered plants here in the U.S. than endangered animals. A plant or animal on the list is at risk of becoming extinct because of things like climate change, pollution, or genetics. But there are things you can do to help. You can educate yourself on conservation and avoid buying things like illegal wildlife products or unsustainable foods like palm oil.
Well, a jury found him guilty. Now the question is, what sentence will Joseph Zyler get for killing a girl and her babysitter?
Coming up on Fox 4 Morning News at 7, we were there when the verdict came down. We will break down the next steps coming up.
Well, they found him guilty, and he gave them the finger.
Now the question in the Joseph Zyler case is, will the jury sentence him to death?
And an expansion of Corkscrew Road might have some delays to your morning commute, but it'll help out in the long run.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
Good Friday morning, everybody. Thank you for watching Fox 4 Morning News at 7. I'm Chris Shaw.
And I'm Lisa Greenberg. We do want to start things off with a check of the forecast. It's Friday. We have made it to the weekend. And Trent, the weekend includes some rain in the forecast, finally.
Yeah, it does. You know, we need it. We're over 4.5 inches behind, but you can't complain about these views we have in the morning. Right now it's 7 o'clock. What a gorgeous sunrise we've got as we look over the Naples Bay. Cue the boat on the flat water there, and it is just an absolutely perfect start. Now, I know it's hot and humid, but we can't shake that this time of year. We're in our rainy season, and we're going to continue to see our rain chances go up as we go through the weekend. Let's get you right over to the radar where we see a large complex of showers and storms over north of Grand Bahama Island. Most of the rain is staying off the coastline there, but this is a sign here that our rainy season is really kicking in anytime we get morning showers and thunderstorms off either coast. We're dry from Naples all the way through Arcadia, where right now our temperatures are in Naples is 75, 76 out of Pagefield, RSW a little cooler, and the coolest spot on the map all morning long has been Punta Gorda, which right now sits at a comfortable 68. As far as the wind, it's light now, but it'll be west again later on this afternoon. What that will do is allow for maybe a shower or two to develop around noontime. We saw that around North Fort Myers yesterday. And then the bigger thunderstorms start to arrive 4 or 5 o'clock for Glades, Hendry, and inland Collier County. Your forecast does call for those temperatures to get up near 90 there already at lunchtime. I'm forecasting a high temperature today of 92. Let's get you out on the roads this morning as well, where things are moving fairly smooth. You can see this live look here near Alico Road, the access roads there along the interstate, and everything moving smooth here early. As far as what it looks like on the maps, we're actually going to take you to the Cape first, where right now the interstate will continue to track it this morning, and of course be back in a few minutes with a look at your forecast.
Good, Trent. We'll see you soon. Well, construction crews on Corkscrew Road could soon add some time to your commute. Tomorrow morning, they will begin working on a widening project.
Fox 4's John Barron is live there this morning. And John, when this project is all said and done, it should help with traffic flow, right?
Yeah, so it really should, Lisa, as everybody's starting to kind of see the big picture. It'll expand Corkscrew Road into a 6-lane highway, and really that'll help out a lot with that morning commute. But as people are starting to wake up and start to get their day going, we're seeing a lot of school buses as 7 o'clock is just rounding the corner, and you can see that this lane has just turned into a 2-lane. It's going north and southbound for 1 lane each, and you can kind of see everybody just kind of starting to make their way out here. Construction crews have actually come out a little bit, trying to get things going, get prepped for tomorrow, but as you can see, this is what we're looking at this point in time. But this isn't just going to expand this road, this is also going to be an expansion for something else down the road as well. We'll be able to see this from Ben Hill Griffin Parkway to Firehouse Lane, but it's also going to expand Firehouse Lane to Bella Terra Boulevard to 4 lanes. But besides the extra lanes of traffic, it's a project that will also include sidewalks, new drainage, and a wildlife crossing. And crews are reminding drivers to pay attention to the road signs and speed limits while crews are working. So you can read more about this on our website at fox4now.com, but understand if you guys are starting to get your day started, you are taking this, understand that Corkscrew Road, there will be a little bit of delay, and they're hoping to have this project done and finished, hopefully well before the end of the year, but just understand that that's about the timeline that we're looking at, is close to the end of the year, with this having an overall look at the expansion being 6 lanes and also 4 lanes in between Firehouse Lane and Ben Hill Parkway. So we'll give you a little bit more on our website at fox4now.com, but for now, live here on Corkscrew Road, John Barron, Fox 4.
Thank you, John. Well, this morning, crews have a 50-acre wildfire burning right now in Collier County, 95% contained. It's west of DeSoto Boulevard and 34th Avenue Southeast. That's actually east of Golden Gate and east of the old Harley-Davidson test track. The Florida Forest Service says firefighters are there still working to get this fire fully contained.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the charge. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder of Robin Cornell. We, the jury, find as follows.
There is the verdict. Now the question is, will Joseph Zyler be put to death?
A jury found him guilty of killing 11-year-old Robin Cornell and her babysitter, Lisa Story. These murders happened in Cape Coral. This was back in 1990.
It took the jury 3 hours to reach their verdict. As the judge read it, Zyler had a blank look on his face, but by the end of it, he was smirking.
He testified in his own defense yesterday, and at one point he made a derogatory gesture at what appeared to be our news cameras. Then he had an outburst, forcing the jury out of the courtroom.
I've got a new big 3. The 3 defenses of Joseph Zyler. Was it it wasn't me. It was my kind of sometimes dad or my half-brother. Or was it, I was in Maryland, couldn't be me. Or number 3, maybe it was, well, maybe I slept with Jan or some other lady I read about in State's Discovery somewhere, and that's how my semen ended up on an 11-year-old girl who happened to be murdered.
Before closing arguments, when prosecutors questioned Zyler, things got heated. They pushed him on everything. The DNA they found that linked him to the murders, where he was when the murders happened, and why he wrote letters to the little girl's mother. Zyler claimed he had sex with Jan Cornell, Robin's mom, but she testified that was not true. And as questioning continued, out of nowhere, Zyler did this.
Piece of paper right here that they're trying to hide from you.
Mr.
Right
Zyler.
here. I still see the body of 11-year-old Robin Cornell with the hand, with the hair of her
Ladies and
killer.
gentlemen, the jury will step out.
The blonde
Mr.
hair of her
Zyler,
killer.
please.
Yes.
Is that in any way unclear?
Can I use the microphone?
Is that in any way unclear, Mr. Zyler?
Now, prior to that is when Zyler made a derogatory gesture at what appeared to be news cameras as both sides talked to the judge privately. Zyler testified for around a half hour. Both sides rested their cases, not before the state called Jan Cornell back to the stand, though, asking if she had ever met Zyler or had any kind of relationship with him. She said no to both questions.
So now let's talk about what happens next. Zyler will have a sentencing trial. That will get started on Tuesday.
Jurors will have to decide whether to recommend Zyler get the death penalty or at least 25 years in prison. Of course, Fox 4 will be in the courtroom for that sentencing next week. You can see all of our coverage of the trial and our other stories on this case over the last several years when you go to fox4now.com.
7:07 is the time right now. This morning, investigators say the man charged with killing a woman in Golden Gate Estates hired a housekeeper to clean up the crime scene. Now, this is a story we've been following through with all week as it develops and new information comes out. Well, now investigators tell Fox 4 Anthony Corrado killed the woman and severely beat a man at the same home on 16th Street Northeast. That's what you see right here. They also say the housekeeper he hired to clean the house is the person who found the bodies. This morning, Corrado is charged with second-degree murder and aggravated battery.
This morning, a Fort Myers man will start his 3-year sentence in prison. 39-year-old Brian Peterson was found guilty of recording children in multiple bathrooms with a cell phone. Peterson skipped a jury trial and a judge decided his sentence yesterday. Now, Fort Myers detectives say they got a tip and then found proof that Peterson had recorded the 2 young children. In addition to the 3-year prison sentence, he also got 10 years probation.
Tomorrow, the Cape Coral Museum of History will have a brew fest in Cultural Park. There will be breweries, food trucks, and local vendors, as well as live music. Now, VIP ticket holders can get in at 1, everybody else at 2, and it will go until 5 tomorrow evening. All the money that comes in for the tickets will go to the museum.
Disney has decided to scrap a $1 billion plan that would have brought thousands of jobs to Florida.
And even if the decision didn't have anything to do with Governor DeSantis, the criticism, even from his own party, is flooding in.
Plus, we have an update on where things stand with the Cape Coral Yacht Club after Hurricane Ian. Will the restaurant there open this month as expected? And when can we hit the beach?
Forecast shows some showers and thunderstorms heading in our direction over the weekend, and this morning, large cluster just north there of Grand Bahama. We'll break down not only what you could expect to get out the door here on your Friday, but our 2 favorite days coming up here after the break.
I totaled my truck. It was a really gnarly accident. I called Fair and Fair first, and then from there it went very fast. My legal team, they were like bulldogs. They just didn't take no for an answer. It just made me feel like I was really dealing with professionals.